Many a striving steel-willed soul, Thomas Edison among them, has tried to shun sleep, considering it an indulgence for the weak or lazy. But science tells another story. Sleeping hours are essential for maximizing our waking hours and optimizing overall health. We experience 1,000 waking minutes on average every day. How are you spending yours? I'm Dr. Wendy Bazilian, and you're listening to 1,000 Waking Minutes. I can't wait to connect with you here with practical ways to eat well, move daily, and be healthy, to optimize every waking minute you live for a happier, healthier life. Thank you for sharing some of your waking minutes with me today. Let's get started.
I'm saying yes to better days, yes. I'm on my way, yes. It's gonna be okay, yeah.
Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Do you remember that song? It rolls out of my head, just those notes up the chord getting started. And if that's any indication of what we're talking about today, then you are right. Welcome back to 1,000 Waking Minutes. I'm Dr. Wendy Bazilian, your host. And if you're new here, I'm so glad you found us. And for those of you who've been with me for a while now, thank you for sticking around, because guess what? We're already on episode 8 today, and I have heard, as I was planning and thinking about starting a podcast, that many podcasters apparently quit after episode 7. So guess what? We're just getting started. I'm so excited. Anyway, today we're talking about something that doesn't always get the credit it deserves, and that is sleep. This podcast is called 1,000 Waking Minutes, but in a 24-hour period, we have 1,440 minutes in a day. 440 of those minutes, or about 7 to 8 hours, are meant for rest. And the rest of our 1,000 waking minutes will feel a whole lot better if you make time for rest. So this topic is always important, given that we spend nearly a third of our lives sleeping, but particularly now as daylight savings ends, it's a perfect time to chat about sleep. Shifting the clocks, we call it falling back, as we might say. It might give us the extra hour of day time because of the nature of what we do to the clock, but it also throws off our rhythm. And I know I'm not the only one who feels a little off balance for a couple days after that time change. This time of year is also busy for a lot of us as we start to feel the strain of that fourth quarter. We're heading into the holidays, we're balancing our work deadlines, we're juggling family life and family gatherings, and it can get overwhelming if we're not careful. That's why today's episode isn't about perfect sleep. It's about small real-life changes to get better sleep, a little bit better, and things we can do right now to help us feel more rested, more productive, more connected, and more energized during our 1,000 waking minutes we have every day. So here's something funny. Thomas Edison, the man who gave us electric light and literally changed how we spend our nights, enlightened, thought that sleep was a waste of time. He thought it was a relic from our cave days. He bragged about getting only 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. But here's the thing. Edison napped all the time. His assistants and students apparently outed him on this. He couldn't even out-invent biology, and neither can we. And that's the truth about sleep. You can't outwork or outthink it. Believe me, I've tried. You've probably tried at times. For years, we took the red eye on the West Coast So at the end of a workday, overnight, and tried to get off and running, fresh start. No one would miss us because, everyone in the United States was sleeping during that time, and get off and running, trying to juggle work and life and everything in between. As a parent, and if you're a caregiver for younger or older individuals, you can understand how hard it is to fit sleep in at times. And if you're ambitious and you've got goals, you probably, get excited, and it can be hard to sleep for a variety of reasons. It's certainly tough. But I also know how crucial it is to make time for it. Good thing is I have always loved a good, productive nap. That and some other practices have helped keep me energized and healthy over time. So this episode of 1000 Waking Minutes is about reclaiming some of those 440 minutes that we devote to sleep so we can feel sharper and healthier and find our days more fulfilling and our choices easier to make, frankly. There's a beautiful quote by Thomas Dekker, the 17th century playwright, that sort of sums up what we're talking about. And I'm going to come back to him and a poem that he wrote later in the episode. But he said, "Sleep is the golden chain that ties health and our bodies together." So one thing I want to get fully entrenched in you by the end of this episode is just how critical sleep is to our productive life, particularly our health. And sleep isn't a waste of time. In fact, we've been talking about its connection for centuries, but modern science just in the last few decades has really started to emerge to show us how and why it's so critical to our biological health and how well we age. This is an investment that helps everything else run smoother during our restful and our waking minutes of the day. So let's dive into some of the science-backed reasons why these 440 minutes of sleep are essential and how reclaiming them can make all the difference. And this is what I call the ROI, the returns on investment or benefits of getting adequate sleep. So I've got a little story about a good friend of mine and a mentor, a member of my doctoral advisory committee, actually, for my dissertation, a brilliant nutrition researcher who's published hundreds of important papers about nutrition and health. One particularly notable, a landmark study connecting nuts, particularly walnuts, and cardiovascular health. Well, he would tell a story, and this is my version of his story, that when he first moved from Spain, where he hails from, to California many years ago, he was already in a pattern, a cultural pattern of siestas. And he felt it an important part of his life. But he found pretty quickly that his siesta ritual, his cherished midday rest, wasn't exactly welcomed with open arms here in the US. And I'm adding a little bit of my own embellishments to this story, but I have a pretty good recollection, having heard him tell me it a couple different times over the years. And because I totally already valued the power of a power nap and how clear and productive I felt after taking one. But not everyone understood, and there wasn't sort of the science and the growing support. And I would say that in some areas, there still isn't sort of the understanding and value of how important sleep is, which I'm hoping to convince you of today. Well, as I recall, his colleagues' response ranged from funny looks to curiosity to quiet judgment on this idea of a siesta. Being very clever as an individual and always sort of being able to read the room, I would say, he would muse that he would call it something different. He started calling his siestas his Zen yoga or Zen meditation, and said sort of just like that, no one hardly even batted an eye moving forward. I always got such a kick out of this idea of sort of reframing something that you wanted to do. He was super highly productive, had a massive teaching schedule, was publishing day over day and involved in leading primary investigations on diet and health. And still he had to sort of find a way to communicate his desire, his need for that time, that midday siesta. Us being Southern California, we were, a little bit more open already. It's already part of the language, yoga and meditation. And so, it's become part of our terminology. And so it worked. But I want to underscore here and ahead, sleep and rest is never a sign of weakness or being unproductive. Sleep is a universal need. It's a basic need. It's not only about turning down our temperature, putting our bodies to rest. It's about restoration. It's about health, as you will see. The idea that we should somehow be proud about lost sleep, maybe you've run into individuals who said, sort of proudly stated almost like competitively, how little sleep they've gotten. Well, I think it's a bit of nonsense, and it's sort of gotten us buried in this cultural language of success and competition being measured by, how much we can suffer to live. And when we sleep well, we actually live better. That's the reality. So perhaps we can think of it as powering down to power back up, to getting those recharges, whether it's through a nap or working toward getting more efficient, effective, and restful sleep at night. All right, so let's get into the science, because sleep isn't just the downtime. It's essential maintenance and restoration for everything from your metabolism to your memory. First, one benefit, weight management and appetite hormone control and regulation. In a study out of the University of Chicago, researchers found that people who missed out on sleep crave snacks with twice the fat content as those who got 8 hours of rest. So think about it. Have there been times when you have had less sleep than you need, and actually started craving things and sort of curious later, like, why am I gravitating toward that food? It has to do with sleep and our hormones. It's not just that we're looking for energy. We have two important hormones that are playing tug of war commonly in our body. And when we're low on sleep, these two hormones are called ghrelin and leptin. They sort of get sluggish, they get crisscrossed, they don't operate properly. Ghrelin is which tells you to eat. It goes up when you're low on sleep. It says eat more. Why? Probably because our ancestors probably had to keep going and stay awake to move to find more food or to get where they need to go or outrun. They probably needed it for that reason. But now the result is that when we're low on sleep, our ghrelin still goes up, but it commands us during our waking hours to eat more. Leptin is another hormone which tells your body that you're full, you're satisfied. And it just doesn't show up for the job the same when you're low on sleep. It goes down when you're awake and are low on sleep. So those late night munchies you get, or wondering why you crave cookies at midnight or after a rough day or rough night, or midday even the next day, is likely associated, at least in part, with the quality of your sleep. It's not just in your head. It's literally your body trying to fuel up, trying to make sense of this little bit of deprivation that's incremental over time. Poor sleep also makes it easier to store the food that you eat as fat, unfortunately, and research has supported that. So it's sort of like a double whammy. Not only are you getting all signals to eat more, you're not getting the signal to stop, and your body's set up to go store those extra calories easier than it would otherwise as fat. Benefit number 2, better blood sugar regulation and impact on diabetes risk. In fact, better sleep, lower diabetes risk. Poorer sleep increases diabetes risk. So sleep plays a big role in blood sugar control. In fact, they're sort of besties, this idea of blood sugar and sleep for our body. One affects the other. When one is off, the other literally struggles. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that even a few nights of poor sleep raises your hemoglobin A1C levels. That's a marker of your blood sugar and how it is running over the course of a 3-month or approximately 90-day span. Without quality sleep, your insulin regulation goes haywire for the next day and ongoing, and it makes you also feel tired and cranky. You're not putting the sugar where it needs to go to make the energy, plus your blood sugar goes up, your regulation goes down, and it sets us up for a lot of problems, not to mention increased risk. If you're at risk for diabetes, more increased risk of prediabetes and diabetes. So think of it like this. If you're not getting enough sleep, your body struggles to process the sugar efficiently during the day for energy, leading then to a dreaded sugar crash. So again, it becomes this big, messy cycle. Another very recently published study of more than 84,000 participants conducted by the Brigham and Women's Hospital found that even minor inconsistencies in your sleep pattern, like shifting your bedtime by an hour, can contribute to health risks. Now, this is something that a lot of us are likely to do at times. It found that individuals with the most irregular sleep durations faced a 34% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. This is another reason why you may have heard before, but having consistent sleep routines, including the weekends, may be more beneficial to health. This research highlights the metabolic consequences of inconsistent sleep durations and schedules. This was published in Diabetes Care just recently, several months ago. So this study reinforces the ROIs and the importance of maintaining consistent sleep for all the other benefits I'm going to say. Even small shifts in your bedtime can have longer term effects, making regular and quality sleep super important for how you will live your 1,000 waking minutes day after day. The third benefit is improvements on cognitive performance and decision making. Have you ever felt like you're absolutely running on empty after a bad night of sleep? I have. That's not just your imagination, for sure. And here's the kicker. Harvard Medical School researchers found that being sleep deprived slows down your reaction time as much, if not more, than being legally intoxicated. Let me say that again. Being sleep deprived slows down your reaction time as much, if not more, than being legally intoxicated. So this isn't just about feeling groggy. It's about how you show up in life, really. And fatigue itself has been shown to impair motor function, affects our sense of timing. Whether you're an athlete looking for like a performance edge, or someone trying to excel at a project at work, or maybe just getting through the day without another cup of coffee to try to stimulate you. And I've been there too. Good sleep sharpens your decision making, your focus, and your performance, and it's measurable. A fourth benefit is mental health and mood. Mental health, something we all know is tied to how we sleep already, plays a huge role in our mood. Studies show that even mild sleep deprivation can lead to irritability, depression, or just being edgy, that place where you just can't shake it. You feel like you're just on edge. That's because sleep is essential to our well-being and to helping us regulate our emotions and our mood. In one review in the journal Sleep Health, researchers noted that people who improved their sleep habits saw measurable improvements in anxiety and depressive symptoms. Another benefit is immune function and longevity. Sleep plays a huge role in supporting a healthy immune system. If you've ever had that like rundown feeling after too many sleepless nights where you're just not getting, enough sleep on a many-day basis, or if you've actually pulled an all-nighter and then suddenly you get a terrible cold, it's like adding insult to injury, and you're like, why now? You're just made it through. You thought, well, this isn't a coincidence. There's actually research from the journal Nature Communications that showed that people who sleep less than 6 hours a night are 4 times more likely to catch a cold than those getting a full night's rest, those 440 minutes on average. And why is that? Well, because sleep is more than rest. It's more than catching a few Z's. It really is what allows our body to build immunity. I love the word restorative because of all the things that can connote, all those things that it can do. During sleep, we repair our cells, we build tissue, we fight off infection, we fight off the stuff of the day before. We set ourselves up for a bright start for tomorrow. And that's why people who get consistent sleep not only tend to feel better, they tend to live longer, healthier lives as well. And finally, I want to just mention a few foods that can healthfully impact our metabolism and our sleep. A little bit of synergy here. I've written a number of articles, done some television segments. You know that I love nutrition because that's my primary degree in public health nutrition. But there are actually some foods that can help promote a healthy sleep cycle, the circadian rhythm, the rhythm of our day, of being awake when we're awake, winding down when it's time to rest well instead of being awake when we're supposed to sleep. Bananas, pineapples, and oranges can help your body create melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate sleep. So melatonin does not put you to sleep, but having adequate melatonin and melatonin produced in the body can help us maintain a healthy sleep cycle. Another two foods, tart cherries that I've talked about before, and walnuts contain melatonin. They're natural sources of melatonin. And along with magnesium that walnuts contains, magnesium can help relax our muscles and our nerves and help make our sleep time more restful. Some people with restless leg syndrome or that get muscle cramps at night benefit from having magnesium either as a supplement, but certainly getting it in their foods. So thinking about simple snacks like whole grain crackers with cheese offers tryptophan, an amino acid that helps serotonin and melatonin. So what you eat during the day can actually set you up for better rest at night. They won't make you sleepy, but they'll help your circadian rhythm, that sleep cycle. So the takeaway from all of these benefits is now you know sleep is not just about rest. It's about our essential maintenance of the body. It's for our mind and our mood and everything in between. It provides our body with what it needs to perform, to think, and to even stave off illness. And we know it can help our mood. We just know that inherently. There's words like moody for a reason and crabby when we haven't slept well. The perks of sleep extend into our decisions during the day too, so it affects everything, our blood sugar regulation and even how our hunger and satiety hormones work during our 1000 waking minutes. And I can't emphasize enough that sleep, those 440 minutes, is really about what you get during the sleep, but it importantly impacts our waking minutes so that we can do all the heavy lifting that we need to do during our day to perform and feel well. So the good news is even small changes can make a big impact, and that can start tonight. You know how some stories just stick with you because they say something really meaningful in a simple way? Well, this is one of those for me. It's called The Worry Tree by an unknown author, and it's one that always comes to mind when I think about letting go of stress and how important it is to set things down at the end of the day so they don't follow you into the night and through the night. I've shared this with classes and workshops over the years, and I think it's such a beautiful reminder that while we all carry worries, we also have the ability to choose where we put them. In other words, how we carry and handle them in our lives. Here's the story. It goes like this. A carpenter was working to restore an old farmhouse. He'd had a terrible, defeating day. A flat tire cost him an hour of work already. His electric saw quit, and then his old pickup truck wouldn't start. By the end of the day, he was frustrated and exhausted. The farmhouse owner offered to drive him home. As he did, something interesting happened. Before the carpenter walked through his door, the farmhouse owner noticed that he paused beside a small tree. The carpenter reached out and touched the tips of its branches. As if by magic, he underwent an amazing transformation, and his whole demeanor changed. He smiled, stood a little taller, and went inside to greet his wife and children with happy hugs and kisses. Later, when the farmhouse owner asked him about the tree, the carpenter explained, "Oh, that's my worry tree. I know I can't help having worries on the job, but my worries don't belong in the house with my family. So I hang them on the tree every night when I come home." He pauses and then adds, "The funny thing is, when I come out in the morning, there aren't nearly as many as I remember hanging up the night before." Obviously, that strikes a chord with me, and I find it so powerful. And almost every time I get so choked up about that story. I love it because it reminds us that even though we can't avoid stress or control everything, we can decide not to carry it all with us everywhere. And sleep, just like life, gets a little easier when we leave some things behind. Sometimes just setting it down, even symbolically, can help us sleep better and live better. And I'm going to encourage you to do this as you cross the threshold into your bedroom to rest each night as well. Now, let's take a moment to pause with the mindful minute, because small pauses like this are where good habits begin. This is one inspired by the worry tree story, and I invite you to imagine your own version of a worry tree. This exercise will help us gently set things down so we can later drift into a more restful night or just enjoy a moment of calm during our busy days. I'll prepare and guide you for a moment, and then I'll leave space for you to breathe, reflect, and release. Now, before we begin, close your eyes if it's safe to do so, and take a slow, deep breath in. Picture a tree in front of you. Maybe it's a tree you know or one from your imagination. Notice its branches swaying lightly and the way the leaves move with the breeze. This is your worry tree. Now imagine yourself reaching out and placing today's worries, like setting down pieces, or maybe it's one heavy bag on the tree. Now let's begin our mindful minute. Just continue to lighten your load onto the sturdy tree branches as you breathe. Feel your body soften as you exhale. Feel lighter. The load is lifting. Breathe in slowly, and as you exhale, feel the relief of knowing you don't have to pick those worries back up, at least not tonight, or maybe not at all. On our last breath here, allow yourself to feel the space you created, as if your mind is clearing, making room for rest. Okay. Small moments like this, where we give ourselves permission to set things down, are where good sleep begins. Just like the carpenter's tree, this is a practice you can use anytime, before bed, after a stressful day, or whenever you need a moment to reset. Sleep comes easier when we leave a little bit of the day behind. Whether it's tonight or another day, know that you can always come back to your own version of a worry tree. Thank you for sharing that mindful minute with me. Now, let's get practical. You don't have to overhaul your entire life to sleep better. Small tweaks can make a huge difference. If you have very poor sleep, it might take a few steps in the process, but small steps, I promise you, can make enhancements right away. Pick one or two things to try and build from there. And here's where you can start. I have three main areas that I'm going to talk about. three-step approach, let's say: the environment, the wind down routine, and easing into sleep. So first, the environment. Make your bedroom a sleep sanctuary. Now, I call this going to the dark side. Using blackout curtains or covering small digital lights, I can't emphasize enough. Take inventory of how many little lights you can see in your room when the lights are out. If you wear glasses or are nearsighted, I wear contact lenses and glasses, and tiny little lights become huge lights in the night if there are lights in the room. Even the light from a phone charger can disrupt melatonin production. So block it out like a sleep ninja that you are. There are all kinds of tricks that you can do it to still keep them functioning if you have anything with a remote control. Next, within the environment, keep the room cool. You're better to have some blankets on you, but keeping the atmosphere, according to research, between 60 and 68 degrees can help trigger melatonin production in your body and help you sleep longer. So you might want to cuddle down, or if you're like me, I get colder when I'm tired, so I want to really bundle up, but try to keep the overall ambiance a little bit cooler in the room and use blankets, and then you can peel some of those off as the night goes on for better sleep. Also, try within your environment to ditch your phone. Use a non-smartphone digital or analog clock to avoid falling into what I call not the rabbit hole, but the scroll hole at night. Trust me, Instagram will still be there in the morning, as we all know. But really trying to keep that phone out of the room unless it's there for emergencies, and then still keep it at a distance and use something else for an alarm. So the second tip is creating a wind down routine. So it's about the routine. First and foremost, I say close the kitchen at the right time. Finish eating 2 to 3 hours, preferably before bed, so your body can focus on restoration, not digestion when it's sleeping. Sometimes we forget that there are actual things going on when you're sleeping, and digestion is one of them, especially if you've got a heavy load in your system. It's got to keep working. In fact, I always picture it like construction workers pulling up the bright lights. If you've had a late night dinner that's heavy, it's working all night on your digestion instead of all the other great things that I mentioned before that it wants to do, like your immune system and building new cells and all the good stuff. So if you need to have a little snack within that 2 to 3 hour window, keep it light and maybe focus on some of those foods that I mentioned before. A couple crackers with a little bit of cheese, a few tart cherries, or yes, some warm milk might do the trick. I have a little recipe I call chamomile milk, which is a chamomile flower tisane or tea with some milk, which can help you ease into sleep, but part of your wind down routine. Try establishing a practice of unplugging at a certain time before you go to bed, maybe an hour before your bed, and give your brain a break from the screens. If you can't resist a little bedtime screening, at least switch the screen image to be black screen with white letters instead. It's easier and it reduces the blue light that's coming in and kind of affects our sleep hormones and can interfere with sleep. And as I mentioned before, you can sip something before bed. You can have a little bit of chamomile milk or an herbal tea, something cozy and calming, something warm and soothing, and then take that final trip to the bathroom so that you don't wake up needing to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. You want to minimize that. And the third of the 3 steps is easing into sleep and relax your way into your sleep routine. So this is about finding your own sweet spot, making sure that you find your right position. Preferably and optimally, it's sort of like laying on your left side can help with digestion, maybe a small pillow between your knees to help with alignment, investing in a good pillow, which you may need to try out, not the one that looks good on the bed, that's what the throw pillows are for, but the one that actually helps you rest. And then establishing what is your easing into sleep routine going to look like. We've wound down and now we're actually going to sleep. If you've heard of white noise, I encourage you to think about a newer term, if you haven't heard it, called pink noise. You can download apps that have pink noise, and these have been found to be better at sort of blocking out distractions like snoring and even sirens and things outside. Pink noise is a certain sort of frequency and wavelength, but think of it like waves of an ocean or the gentle rainfall that keeps you really in that really meditative sleep state. And it's called pink noise. And there are some apps that are available. There are some machines that can produce some of these pink noise sounds. Try some aromatherapy, either for a period of time as you're easing into your sleep state. There are some diffusers that you can get you can be on timers that may bring in a little bit of a lavender scent or something that's very soothing for you, sort of like you would at a spa. You can also put a few drops of lavender oil on your pillow, put some at your temples or right outside your nostrils. If you're not sensitive to that on your skin, that sort of can help ease you into sleep and bring those nice aromas into your head and your mind and to be soothing as you go to sleep. So those are the three main steps: establishing an environment for healthy sleep, the wind down routine, and things you do to ease into sleep. I just wanted to add a couple more tips briefly. One is the snacks that you eat, the sleep foods, so to speak, during your day, which can help you have more restful nights. So remembering the bananas, pineapples, and oranges that I mentioned before that have compounds that can help produce melatonin and help with a healthy sleep cycle. Tart cherries and walnuts are sources of melatonin and other nutrients that can fit in your day. Either tart cherry juice, there's been some research on having tart cherry juice or concentrate before bed, not immediately before bed, helping with healthy sleep, actual research. And there's lots of research on walnuts that you can incorporate in a variety of ways. One of them may help promote healthy sleep. I haven't yet mentioned pumpkin seeds and almonds, which are sources of magnesium. Magnesium helps relax our muscles and may help us with sleep at night, especially if you have muscle cramping or restless legs. And those are easy to combine in your day in different kinds of trail mixes, in baked goods, on salads, and other places. And then finally, a tip about 3Ms: movement, mood, and mindset. Simple actions. One is power naps. I mentioned napping very briefly before in my story about the Zen yoga meditation. And if it feels indulgent to you to nap, I've met people who are like, nap? I've never napped. Well, maybe you'll call it one of these things, your little Zen yoga session. But a 20-minute nap has shown to be enough to recharge your energy without disrupting your nighttime sleep. So it's like powering down to power back up, getting a recharge. Use the worry tree. Hang up your worries. Use a symbolic worry tree in your life, whether it's a little hook that you hang at your bedroom door, maybe a little sticker, maybe a little picture of a tree. Touch it at night. And remember that the worries get left there, and as you cross the threshold into the area that you sleep and rest, leave your stress behind. You might actually find fewer worries the next day after a good night's sleep, as I'm sure has been the case in your life. It certainly has been in mine. And then a little bit of movement, not fast movement. We're not talking exercise here, but healthy breathing and unwinding practices like self-massage. In other episodes, I've talked about abdominal massage that can help with digestion that you can do at sleep. But there are ways that you can rub or massage your body as well to release tension and help you ease into sleep. One area is your temples. Gently rub on your temples in a circular pattern. Also, my husband, who practiced traditional Chinese medicine, talks about areas at the base of the skull where the neck attaches the skull and it gets tight and tense, that you can massage that area. Not only does it feel really good, but it can help with the circulation to the brain and the calming and soothing as well. If your feet feel tight from a whole day on your feet or just walking around, maybe rolling your feet on a golf ball, or if you have other kinds of tools to do some foot massage, those are ways that you can use movement to your benefit. There's lots of tips. I don't expect you to use them all, but maybe try one of them. These tips aren't about perfection. Life's too unpredictable for that, and you will have nights of poor sleep. But even 1 or 2 small changes can make a big difference. Sleep isn't just a break from the day. It's the fuel that powers your 1,000 waking minutes every day. The choices we make about food, rest, movement, and mindset are all what set us up to thrive tomorrow. So which of these tips are you going to try tonight? Take one and give it a try. If you've listened before, you know I always pose a question as we near the end of each episode. Here's today's question, something for you to reflect upon. What's one small change you could make tonight to reclaim a little more sleep and feel better during your 1,000 waking minutes tomorrow? Take a moment with this question. The smallest shifts can make a big difference. Again, here's the question. What's one small change you could make tonight to reclaim a little more sleep and feel a little bit better during your 1,000 waking minutes tomorrow? So we've come a long way today talking about sleep. A quick look back on what we've covered today. We talked about why these 440 minutes of sleep are so important to our 1,000 waking minutes. Not just for rest, but our ROI, your metabolism, your mental clarity, your performance, and your long-term health. We also explored how small practical tips can make a big difference, like setting up your bedroom as a sanctuary, closing the kitchen a few hours before bed, and adding maybe a little lavender to your pillow or some pink noise, or trying the Zen meditation power nap during your day to your routine. Most importantly, we reminded ourselves that sleep doesn't have to be perfect, just intentional. Even if life feels busy and overwhelming, 1 or 2 small changes can make all the difference. And while modern science has been showing us just recently in the last several decades why sleep is so critically important to our biology and our longevity, this is not a new topic. This is a poem written by playwright Thomas Dekker, of the quote that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast today, and also the inspiration of the song Golden Slumbers that the Beatles recorded on Abbey Road. It's called Cradle Song by Thomas Dekker. Golden slumbers kiss your eyes, smiles awake you when you rise. Sleep, pretty wantons, do not cry, and I will sing a lullaby. Rock them, lullaby. Care is heavy, therefore sleep you. You are care, and care must keep you. Sleep, pretty wantons, do not cry, and I will sing a lullaby. Rock them, lullaby. And on that note, I hope that you have a wonderful, restful, and restorative night. Thank you so much for spending some of your 1,000 waking minutes with me today. If you found today's episode helpful, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and share it with a friend who could use a little more sleep as well in their life. Remember, how we live today shapes how we thrive tomorrow. So let's reclaim a few minutes of rest and wake up feeling better. Not perfect, but better. I'm Wendy Bazilian, and until next time, be well. Thank you for tuning in to 1,000 Waking Minutes. A huge thank you to our amazing collaborators, including our production and marketing teams, and Gabriella Escalante in particular. To the ultra-talented Beza for my theme music, my lifelong friend and artist, Pearl Price Photography and Design, to Daniel Ballantyne, Jen Nguyen, Joanna Powell, and of course my family, and everyone working tirelessly behind the scenes. And to you, our valued listeners, I so appreciate your support. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving a comment, writing a review, and giving 1,000 Waking Minutes, that's us, a 5-star rating. And please hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you enjoy your podcasts. Please follow and stay connected at wendybazilian.com. And don't forget to share with your friends. Your support helps us grow and bring you more great content. Until next time, find some simple opportunities to optimize those 1,000 waking minutes each day.
I'm saying yes to better days, yes, I'm all